Oh, the boomers are finding out finally. The boomers and silent generation sold out millennials and Gen Z, and now they're finding out that wasn't a good thing. With most of their net worth being tied up in home equity and them owning 70% of the home equity in the United States. But there's a problem, boomers. You can't sell your homes. It's a 500,000 difference between available homes and available buyers. The largest difference in US history. And see, boomers, you thought you were just selling Gen Z and millennials up the river, calling us lazy, saying we just needed 5, 6, 7 jobs to get by. All while you got to enjoy a lifestyle in America that nobody else will because you voted it away for us. And it's nice to see at least you guys are finally paying a price too. You got to live a comfy life. But retirement and nursing home ain't gonna be so much fun, is it? Oh, especially since Medicare and Medicaid are going by the wayside. You did have some government subsidies to rely on, but you voted against them too.
Attention, player haters and overrated disbelievers of all kinds. I stand before you today 10 toes down as the bearer of bad news. Y'all done fucked up.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer. All right. What's happening? L.A.R. movement still moving. This is one of those questions where you gotta ask, what are y'all really mad at boomers for? That's like seriously. I brought up the boomers being a problem a long time ago, but is millennials and Gen Z? What are you mad at boomers for? Seriously, because is it that they messed up the money and you don't have any for the future? Is it that they messed up white supremacy for you for the near future? Is it a mix of things? Because here's what people don't say, and some of y'all were kids and now, and some of y'all adults now. Don't act like you haven't benefited off of these boomers. You see what I'm saying? Like when I'm talking like to white America, like y'all benefited off of these boomers. All these nepotism programs, this nepotism, on these in the career realm and jobs. You getting jobs you didn't qualify for. It's funny. It's DEI and affirmative actions when other groups aren't qualified, but y'all got jobs you wasn't qualified for years of your life. All the times that the family spent extra money on you from your college and adult years because you was just, granddad's got it, grandma's got it. I need a car, I needed this, I needed that. And what happened was now that you became an adult and the bill is in your name, now the boomers have a problem. And I'm not just gonna excuse what people are talking about. I get it. But I'm not about to also act like you weren't complicit. See, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it worked for you for a while. What it looks like is, you know, the boomers messed up white America's future. Yeah, yeah. But the boomers, and the silent generation, just as a person who's not white, um, most of the economic windfalls and the success came from messing with other groups' future. So now it's your future is bad. Now that I understand. My granddaddy got a house. He paid that amount of dollars. Yep, sure did. Your granddad was making $100,000 a year when the average was for people was taking home 17,000. Yeah, wasn't a big deal. I went to college. You did go to college. And most of y'all wasn't supposed to be going. How many people was on a legacy kick? How many of y'all? How many of y'all, you knew a guy who knew a guy? So we gonna get you in. How many of y'all? How many of these boomers pulled strings for you to get to where you are? How many? Oh, we don't talk about that part. We don't talk about that part. And I can say this with all transparency. I'm Gen X. You know how I know it's selfish? Because the vast majority of times I hear people complain about boomers, they're millennials and Gen Z, and they only talk about how it affects millennials and Gen Z. They skip over Gen X. And for a lot of millennials and Gen Z, Gen X is the ones footing the bill for y'all. You college students came back and y'all living with somebody in Gen X. That's the reality. Who's taking care of some of these boomers? Gen X. Who's taking care of some of these millennials? Gen X. But the world is messed up for me. Not necessarily. Because I gotta know, what are you really mad about? The opportunity to be successful even though you're mediocre? Is that what this is about? Because yeah, that's probably gone now. Well, I mean, you can be successful and mediocre at the highest level in America to this day, but the amount of people is dwindling. That's why you see all these fake political slash neo-Nazi slash white supremacist kind of groups, and even with other groups that aren't black or aren't FBA. It's the same premise. We used to get these benefits. It's all your fault. It's over with. No, 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 no. What are you really mad about though? They can't. Baby boomers can't sell their homes. Okay, they can't sell them. You can't buy them. Who gonna buy them? BlackRock, Amazon. Then what? Then it went from the baby boomers to the big businesses. And see, here's what a lot of y'all don't want to hear. A lot of y'all families and yourselves voted for this type of stuff. See, just because, the president doesn't do smart things, you knew that already. You knew that already. But it's the baby boomers' fault now. Of course. But you don't plan on doing any better. That's the issue. A lot of y'all get mad at baby boomers because they inherited everything, right? Not understanding the vast majority of you millennials and Gen Zs who are complaining about it, y'all inherited a lot that other people didn't have anyways. So you had more opportunity to be successful than generations prior, supposedly. Supposedly, and I'm gonna say supposedly because there's a lot of people who got opportunity based on Jim Crow. That's a reality. A lot of the wealth disparity, all the wealth disparity in America historically has came from racism. All of it. So what happened was white supremacy is getting crunched. So the wealth disparity is getting crunched. So now it's all baby boomers' fault. And the truth of the matter is, the baby boomers ain't gonna have money like that when it's over. That's what all these policies that they voted for too go with. Yeah, you know, uh, getting getting a lot of overpriced profits and windfalls because when you were young, you invested in these companies, and then over 10, 20, 30, 40 years, it made you millionaires. Cool. You got your family got into a good financial state based on Levitt towns and loans and stolen intellectual properties and stolen businesses or stolen business ideas and networking with you and your other white supremacist circles to put your group ahead. And you've been horrible spenders the whole time. So when people go, there's nothing to inherit. There's a lot to inherit. The problem is you're going to inherit the debt too. And did they do you a disservice? Yeah, but you knew it was a disservice. And you know how I know you knew it was a disservice? Because you made fun of a bunch of people who didn't have the connections in the family that you had, who were doing all this janky stuff. It was cool when you were benefiting from it. And then when the bottom fell out, oh, the sky's falling and we need and it's all their fault. No, dog. Now you gotta pay the bill. Congratulations. If you don't like it, that's your fault. Like you can't be in benefiting off the crime and at the same time going, I don't understand. You understand. But I'm gonna leave it at that. You tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Peace.